All right. Some of you undoubtedly have been living under a rock, like Baghdad. Take your time with it. But if you have been reclusive and you don't know, the Marvel Universe has been setting the standard for filmmaking as well as been endangering the film industry in terms of everybody wants a shared universe now. Everybody wants to be the new MCU. All right. So people like the Fast and Furious, now they're expanding their universe. They're trying to be more Marvel like. Godzilla versus Kong. That Monsters universe from Legendary Studios, I believe, which coincidentally owned by China, just saying. They have been building their own Monsters universe, right? They're trying to be like Marvel. DC, absolutely. They even went against their own interest in turning their already established cinematic universe into a more Marvel one. That didn't work out. That's why we have the Snyder Cut to correct that. But there you have it. They're all trying to be the MCU. And who would who would find something against that? The MCU is absolutely amazing. One thing you have to hand it to them, the Marvel Cinematic Universe architects, you really have to give it up. They sure know how to, and I think they get this from Stan Lee. They know how to look at the world around them, see what's going on, and then in the abstract, they bring elements to that into their films. So if you can remember some of the clips you saw in that sequence right here, a lot of them belong to Captain America Winter Soldier as well as Captain America Civil War. If you can remember around the time that they did Captain America Winter Soldier, there was, the Snowden thing had just happened, right? I think that was around the time the Snowden thing had just happened. And people were worried about national security, how the government views its citizens, and all these sorts of things. And they brought that into it very well into Captain America Winter Soldier. All right. And around the time that the Civil War, Captain America Civil War occurred, around that time, we were going through a thing with politics in this country where the right was really emerging and the left was really, fighting back, Antifa versus the far right, alt-right, etc. And so the architects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe have been extrapolating things from the zeitgeist around them and then bringing them into the films that they produce for us and making it, spicing it up, making it exciting, with the exciting music and the fight scenes and all these things. And so now we get to what's going on currently. Currently, and I gotta give a shout out to Radical Latino here. He is probably, aside from famous people like, Tariq Nasheed and all these super famous people, aside from them, Radical Latino, one of us, as in the plebs, the people, is the one guy who has been ringing the bell, riding his horse at top speed, ringing the bell about how we need a black and brown coalition. These are two black and brown people, and by brown, I mean the Latino variety of brown, right? Black and brown people have been some of the most oppressed in the history of humanity right now, okay? And we have histories that run very parallel and then actually overlap or even clash, okay? So the European, the bad ones, not every European, obviously, disclaimer, disclaimer, only the bad ones. The detrimental, the detrimentally inclined Europeans, let's call them that. The ones who wanted gold and glory, those guys, they've been going across this planet, running roughshod on every terrain, nonstop. No one could stop them, and they oppressed everyone from the Indians to the Southeast, the Southeast Asians to Hispanic people, rather Latin people, to African people, to Australian Aborigines. They've been doing all these things without any repercussion coming forth, and so now we've come to an age of morality and reason. Everyone wants to be the moral one. They want to be the moral authority. What else do you have but moral authority where every major nation on the planet has nukes? Every major nation has nukes. The major European powers, France, England, etc., they have nukes. America obviously has nukes. I'm not sure if Canada has nukes, but our nukes are their nukes. They're our, funny speaking neighbors in the United States. So if we have nukes, it's their nukes. Mi casa, su casa, right? India has nukes. China has nukes. So if you're in a room, everyone is armed up. Everyone's got weapons. What else is there except moral superiority? Because as far as power superiority, well, on an even field. And if we all, let's imagine the room. We're all in the room and we each have a hand grenade in a tightly fitting room, the size of a closet, even, right? It's a small planet. It's a small planet. So if any one of us unleashes that grenade, bye bye, game over, right? So what else do you have? If I can't use my grenade, you can't use your grenade, and the guy over there, he can't unpin his grenade. So now we're having a battle of wits, morality, these sorts of things. And so now we're in the age of morality, the battle for the soul of humanity. We're in a battle of morality now where everybody wants to be higher than the other. And so that's why you have a lot of super conservatives browbeating brown people. Talk about, well, there's a recent one where this guy said that minorities and poor people, so you poor whites listening, you're in that too. Minorities and poor people don't deserve the minimum wage of $15 per hour. Now, mind you, $15 per hour is barely enough to live. But this guy says, we're not even worth that. We're not worth that. We're not smart enough. We're not driven enough. We're not worth enough for $15 an hour. So these people, these upper elites, I'm going to call them, many of whom, a lot of whom, the majority of whom, coincidentally, are white, right? So I'm not saying all whites. The majority of these people, they try to lord over this fantastic idea that they're morally superior because they're successful. And so again, we're at a battle of morality. We're at a battle of morality. No one can unpin that grenade. We're all in the room. Probably no doors, a room with no doors, no windows. We all have those grenades. Nobody can unpin theirs. You can't even threaten to unpin yours. I can't even threaten to unpin mine. We're not stupid. It's called MAD, mutually assured destruction. So no one can use their nukes. All the major powers are nuked up. No one can use their nukes. So it's a battle of morality. Moving on from that, I think I've driven that into the narrative enough. Let's move on from that. So if you have a battle for morality, what are you going to teach your kids? Because that's the environment, the ecosystem that you've fomented, right? So what are you going to teach your kids? That they're coming from a highly moral stock of people, right? That your family is very moral. Your family is highly driven, have high IQs. And so that's what they teach their kids. That you have to do everything the right way. You have to be moral. You have to be just. There can't be any corruption. Now, the thing is, all these things are lies. They knew that it's a lie. They knew that these are lies. But their kids believed it. Their kids believed all the lies. So when you had Abby with her blonde hair and her blushy cheeks with freckles, sitting on the same school bench with Jamal and Tyrone and Terrell, she saw them as equals. And she looks to her left and she sees Jose, right? And Yahaira. She sees them as equals. She bought into the lie her parents told her. Her parents didn't believe the lie. Remember, you're projecting the image of moral superiority. You don't believe it, but you're telling your kids that as a fairy tale. You had no idea that they'd actually believe the shit. So let's move on from there. Now, with black and brown people and the news coming out about black and brown people and how they've been tread upon, how they've been downtrodden and oppressed, white allies are seeing the same thing. Remember, it was a white brigadier general, retired, whose mic got cut off when he tried to basically shed light on the fact that it was African Americans who invented Memorial Day.
Memorial Day was first commemorated by an organized group of black freed slaves less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered. Recent years, the origins of how and where Decoration Day began has sparked lively debate amongst historians. However, Yale historian David Blight, asserting the holiday is rooted in a moving ceremony, was conducted by freed slaves on May 1st, 1865, at the tattered remains of a Confederate prisoner of war camp. It was a Charleston, Washington racecourse and jockey club, today known as Hampton Park. The ceremony is believed to have included a parade of as many as 10,000 people, including 3,000 African-American school children singing the Union marching song, John Brown's Body. They were carrying armfuls of flowers and went to decorate the graves. Interesting that there would be a tie back to Hudson with that song through John Brown. Most importantly, whether Charleston's Decoration Day was the first is attended by Charleston's black community. AJ, Mike. We'll continue on. This is why you moved in closer, so you can hear this.
Now, I wonder, even at the age he is, I wonder what his parents told him about morality. What did they teach him? Being a brigadier general, retired, having risen in the ranks of the military, All those strong moral values having brought him to the station where he is now. What did his parents teach him? This is part of the ecosystem I'm talking about that actually builds to a black and brown unity. Now, you'll have to bear with me here. I know he's white, but what I'm talking about is the support for a black and brown coalition, as well as brown people and black people getting the recognition they deserve. Reading a few things recently, I have found out that the Mesoamericans, native peoples of South and Central America, have recently been given the credit they deserve for acknowledging the numerical value of zero. Previously, they gave it to the Middle East somewhere, or North Africa, whom they consider white for some reason. But turns out Mesoamericans did it first. Shout out to them. If you're Latino, that's part of your legacy. And the important thing about that is that's a legacy for the world. Where would we be as far as sciences without the value zero? Now, moving on here, Radical Latino has been one of the people beating the drum like, hey, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. Black and brown unity must become a thing if we're going to make strides as an oppressed minority. Now, this was him speaking to his own people, but it also resonates with black people because even though it's black people who are the most vocal about being oppressed and downtrodden in this country, a lot of times black people in this country, myself included, we tend to exclude brown people in our struggles. We tend to think of them as an other, and we don't see the parallels between their struggle and our struggle. This brigadier general does. And the generation of white people who have come up with the idea of morality, they do as well. Getting back to Marvel, the MCU, they always look around them for inspiration as to what to put in their movies. And they took the temperature of the room and they saw that is the this is the chant of our time. Black and brown unity is the chant of our time. It was a black lady who climbed the Statue of Liberty, was it? Because those are, I don't know if they're Mexican or a Guatemalan children were held in cages. Black Lives Matter moved out into the street to help protest the shooting of Adam Toledo. The MCU and the architects of that cinematic universe, they're not blind to these things. And so I think that they agree with the Radical Latino and many others who have been championing this cause. Namor the Submariner is supposed to be a white character. He's supposed to be Spock underwater. That he's Leonard Nimoy underwater. If you guys know Spock, if any of you are Trekkies, right? But they've chosen to hire Tanakh. I don't know how to pronounce your name, brother. Tanakh Huerta. Tanakh Huerta. He's a Mexican guy, and I have not seen a lot of his movies. I think he was in Narcos and all these sorts of things, right? Uh, but they've hired him. They've cast him in the role of Namor the Submariner. Now, we have to understand about Namor the Submariner, even though he's a mutant, meaning he has powers going far beyond even those traits of Atlanteans, he is still a representative of people of Atlantis. And so it looks like they're about to make the Atlanteans Latino. And so, I mean, I tried to get a map here. You guys know, I mean, you're educated geographically. You know that what separates the South American landmass and the African landmass is the Atlantic Ocean. And in between that, I think lies Atlantis. And I do believe that they're going to be exploiting the. Now, this is just my conjecture here. They're going to be connecting. By the way, side note, he's going to be the villain. But the word villain, when you're dealing with superhero movies, that term villain, usually it's very tenuous, especially if it's a very famous or very popular character, right? If you have Wolverine in an X-Men movie, the new villain, Wolverine, you know he's not going to be the villain. He's Wolverine. So with somebody like the Submariner, who's basically Marvel Cinematic Universes or the Marvel Universe's equivalent of DC's Aquaman, he's Aquaman for the Marvel Universe. He's not going to be a villain. They say villain in order to get you in the seat. But when he's there, there's going to be somebody who's worse of a threat that Namor and the Black Panther, whoever that happens to be, because Chadwick Boseman has passed away, rest in peace to that brother, whoever that happens to be, Namor and the Black Panther will be teaming up to fight that bigger threat. And so you have a nation of mostly black people, black geniuses, which is Wakanda. And then now you'll have Atlantis, which is a nation of Latinos with funny ears, obviously, and who breathe water. We're dealing in fiction here, people. Work with me. All right. But I think it's very interesting, especially in the cinematic universe in DC, where they have Jason Momoa being an Atlantean, but the only brown skinned Atlantean, which is kind of weird. I think Marvel, with their new mission of inclusion, will do better than what they did with Jason Momoa. When they cast Jason Momoa, I thought they were going to make the Atlanteans in the DC universe Samoan people. You know what I mean? But they didn't do that. They made him kind of like a one off. But with Tenacuerta, I'm sorry for butchering your name, brother. Tenacuerta being cast as Namor the Submariner, I fully expect for his entire race to look like that. That's what I expect. I see radical Latinos in the back here, and I've droned on long enough about this. Let me bring him in so we can get his perspective, especially upon being proven right that even the cinematic universe, even Stanley's House of Ideas itself, is getting down with the radical Latino agenda. What's going on, Rad?
I'm beating my drum right now, brother. What's going on?
Hell yeah.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What
Yeah,
up? What
yeah,
up?
yeah. This is exciting news. When I caught wind of it, I'm like, oh shit, Rad was right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What they did? Look, man, they took the temperature of the room. They're like, okay, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. That people are, especially like right now. I think by the time the movie comes out, it will even be more of a hot room. Like the temperature is going to rise even higher because remember, Kamala Harris just said something immensely incendiary over in Guatemala. Was it
Yeah,
that? Yeah, people want her head now. Her head now.
yeah.
So like this.
AOC
I'm sorry. Go
when
ahead.
AOC went at her because of that. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with AOC. I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm extremely neutral when it comes to the whole immigration thing. Extremely neutral. I'm not for it or against it. I'm very neutral when it comes to that. But it does say that it does say that it does say that she has like she did jump out the window with this one. I
Yeah.
wasn't agreeing with it. AOC even basically said that America is the main reason why some of these Latin countries are in the economic
Hmm.
destitute that it,
Destitution. Yeah.
yeah,
That they are.
destitution
Yeah.
that there is. So why would you burn a house and then blame the people for fleeing? And this is one of her quotes. This is not my quote. So it's I agree with that 100%. We should not be out here. Like, I understand why certain people run from their homeland. I get it. I totally get it. But in the same time, I do see some of the reasons why certain people don't like it. I see that too, but we got to keep it real. Most of my family, ran and came here for a better life, and they did well. But we
Yeah,
have to understand the system of white supremacy is the reason why these immigrants do well over Black Americans because they're allowed to. We got to keep it real.
yeah,
But that's
absolutely.
that's another conversation for another time.
For another time, yeah.
It was very disrespectful what she said, and I did not agree with what she said whatsoever. And I am definitely going to make a statement about that.
Yeah, and one of the things that, I mean, I'm probably fucking with my money by saying this because you know the nature of my clients, most of them, but you know, conservatives should raise an eyebrow, should cock an eyebrow to this because when someone as dishonest as Kamala starts mirroring your talking points, you got to reflect on your talking points. Okay, so someone like her who wanted to have single parents put in jail because their kids cut class, right? One of the reasons why your kids cut class is because you're a single parent. You're out there getting the money to feed them, and therefore you have no real control, parental control over what they do when they go to school. And so it's a snake eating its own tail. It's Ouroboros. And
Yeah,
so yeah, and so you're gonna punish them for that. So when they're in jail now, the kid's gonna be better off or worse off. This is the kind of mentality that we're dealing with Kamala Harris. And so if someone like that, someone who's psychologically and mentally broken like that, says, "Yeah, you're right," you have to really look in the mirror. You have to look in the mirror. So these conservatives who have been mirroring like they should just stay home and fix their own country, those people have to start doing some internal self reflection. Would those people leave their country if something didn't go wrong? Do you think that they just fled their country for the hell of it? And what does your nation have to gain from it? They never look beyond who knocked the glass of milk. They just see spilt milk on the floor. They're
yeah,
like, "Oh, look at all this spilt milk. That's deplorable." They never look at
yeah,
who knocked the glass over.
yeah,
So the confessions of an economic hitman, for example, was this guy who talked about how, you know, the American government would basically go to these countries and offer them money that they can't pay back at rates they can't pay back. And
yeah,
if that country's dictator says, you know what, I think I'll pass, they then send in assassins to kill that guy and then install somebody who will agree.
yeah. Or make some smear campaigns for it.
On some smear campaign to destroy that person's character,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And then so when that country's destabilized from all that, from either the assassinations and or the smearing campaign, and then now the country's upside down from all kinds of civil wars and insurrections and coups d'etats, then you're like, well, these people just can't get their act together. And then
yeah,
those people now fleeing that burning house end up at your front door. And you're like,
yeah,
well, you go back to your country. All right, just get it. This
yeah,
is this is what's infuriating. This is what's infuriating. And so these conservatives, they have to do some self-reflection. If Kamala Harris backs you up on anything, start rethinking what she backed you up on. If Kamala Harris is telling these people to stay home and fix it, if you show up at our borders, you will be turned back. Honestly, I hope she loses her position over this. Like this is look. Uh, uh, I don't even know what to say. This person,
yeah.
can you trust her with? I need to ask anyone who's listening right now. After what she says, right? Can you trust her with any other policy
No,
at all?
I, I,
This woman went to. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's all right. I already had my doubts when she became vice president automatically. So
Hmm.
I don't have no ounce of of hope when it comes to a certain person like that, especially a person that starts spewing these type of talking points. If this is a way for them to get Republican brownie points, I think there's way better ways to do so.
Hmm.
Um, Again, this shows that Democrats are no different from Republicans. The thing is that Democrats like to hide it more. You know, again, uh, Joe Biden even said during his presidency campaign that he will actually, be lenient when it comes to immigration, and he didn't promise, he didn't do none of what he promised whatsoever. So it really shows a big hole in that logic of his.
Hmm. But look, all these people are natural liars, man. They're natural liars. That's why
Yeah,
they're perfectly suited to swim in that water. They're natural liars. And then someone like Kamala Harris, there's something that has to be said here. It seems like, okay, so East Indians are widely considered to be Caucasian. I think we've covered this before
yeah,
with the casting of the Eternals, and I was a little bit unkind, so I deleted that video. But if I were to sift through some of that rejected video, self-rejected video, some of those points were correct, where you have a lot of misrepresentation when it comes to India, where
yeah,
whenever you see on TV, it's the white ones that you see, and they consider themselves, and white people consider them, the East Indians, as Caucasian. And so Kamala Harris has part of that heritage as East Indian. She also has Jamaican, Caribbean. Now, the thing is, we have to consider the fact, or consider the possibility, that she has a lot of animosity towards her father's side of her heritage, meaning the Caribbean or Latin America. You will never get justice when you're dealing with Kamala Harris if you're of Latin American extraction. Jamaicans, whether they believe it or not, and whether they buy into the whole Anglican, oh yes, we're Jamaica. No, 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 no. In fact, your island's name is Spanish. It's Jamaica. You are Latin American. And Kamala Harris has no love for any of you. She has a very specific, I don't know if it's a personal animus or if it's something in general, like that's deep within her soul uh, um, for that area. But it seems like she particularly dislikes that general population.
yeah. I This is what I'll say, and I think I'll just go back to the topic of the MCU.
Hmm.
What I'll say is that Kamala Harris has been known historically to be two-faced.
Yeah.
She's been known to have Republican type laws, and I'll just say Republican just so people from the in the back understand what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Republican type of laws at running as a Democrat, and it just shows that
Hmm.
the Democrats are no different from Republicans whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're no different. They're the same. They're the same people with just different clothing.
Look, man, left wing, right wing, it's two wings on the same goddamn bird.
Yeah, same,
Come on, son.
exactly. Now, what I want to say about the MCU, which you brought up, I know Namor is pretty much. He's pretty much. You could correct me if I'm wrong. He's pretty much like. He plays both sides, right? Villain and hero.
Yeah, he's sort of an anti-hero.
Right.
I believe the first time he showed up, he was probably a villain. When he faced off against the Human Torch. I think back when Jack Kirby was turning out 20 pages a day or something like that. That's crazy. But yeah, historically he's been kind of like a bad boy.
Yeah.
Like the rock star who trashes up your
Yeah.
hotel. Like if
Gotcha.
you're a
Gotcha.
hotel
Gotcha.
owner. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the thing is, at at the heart of him, if you really boil him down, he is a hero. He's trying to keep his kingdom safe, and when it comes down to it, even though he might talk down to you, but he will save you from a burning building or that bus falling on you. He'll talk shit about you later.
Yeah.
Or these feeble humans
Now,
can't even, like while he's
now,
walking off, but
yeah.
he will save you. Yeah.
Now, let me just say one thing. I see where Black Panther, right, had the the city of Wakanda and their achievements and
Hmm.
how they were perceived as being poor and desolate,
Hmm.
and not viewed globally as a powerhouse. I understand and I see how they did it and why they did it, and it was beautiful to watch. The thing is, I I don't know. I doubt that Marvel will give Latin people the same type of qualms, and I say that because Atlantis is basically a free for all. Like anybody could come in and out. It's not known as a Latin place whatsoever, like South America, some parts of the Caribbean, Mexico.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I until I watch the trailer, until the trailer comes out, I'm just gonna have
Mm.
my suspicions. But so far the I do like the fact that it is going this direction, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to really watch and then give my opinion after I watch the trailer, whatever, because it could be that this Mexican actor might be the one that they just prop up and have a bunch of white people dressed up in green paint all around them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
We gotta keep listen. We gotta keep it real. When it comes to white supremacy, they're not gonna give us everything. Okay,
Mm.
there is gonna be some fuckery. For example, in Black Panther, you know the dude with the huge plate on his lip.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a female thing. That's not a male thing.
That's not a male. Yeah. That's not a
Yeah.
male thing.
So again, there is gonna be some fuckery when it comes to certain aspects and certain things of a movie and certain ways that they go about it. They might give him the Jason Momoa thing where he's the only brown person running swimming around with a bunch of white folks talking
Oh yeah, a
about
bunch of white people with blonde hair and
where
shit.
yeah, we're one. You know what I mean? It
Mm.
might be that. It might be that. We don't know.
You know,
I'm just talking from experience, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
yeah, you know, I'm gonna be the Pollyanna on this thing. I'm gonna be the one with the doe-eyed optimism, because
Okay.
like, yeah, I'm gonna be the doe-eyed Pollyanna on this. What do you mean it won't work out? Right? So I think it's too irresistible not to do it. It's too irresistible because the landmass, again, I should actually open up a map here. The land masses of South America and Africa are only separated by that stretch of water. And in the middle of that, if you're going to make Wakanda be neighbors to, I mean, not even neighbors, but have constant conflict with Atlantis, that's where it has to come from. It has to come from the Atlantic Ocean, and the name Atlantic Ocean and Atlantis. They can't have Atlantis show up on the flip side of Africa on the Pacific Ocean. I mean, like, narratively speaking, that's a bad screenplay. And also on the Pacific side, that belongs to Lemuria. The two ancient underwater cities were Atlantis and Lemuria. Atlantis was under the Atlantic, and Lemuria was under the Pacific, and
Yeah.
they were the ancient equivalent of the U.S. versus the Soviet Union, right? And so I think it's too irresistible to have, especially with the ideas that have been floating around. Maybe this is the point of this video here, for you people to start making noise. Start making noise about it, because when they do this, when they do a casting call like this, when they haven't even begun filming, they're putting feelers out there to see how you react.
Yeah. And
So if
talking
you,
about feelers,
Mhm.
bro,
Yeah.
listen, we got to understand when it comes to these properties and when it comes to even Marvel and everything, we got to understand something that they don't do things for no reason. They do
Hmm.
things for a reason. And
Yeah.
when it comes to these type of movies and feelers or whatever you wanna call it, these people, they there's a reason why they'll cast a Latin person. And again, I'm gonna go 50-50 on this. They might have that whole, Atlanta's, looking like Washington Heights. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
looking all, all Latino. You know what I'm saying? So they might go out on the limb and do this. And we actually might, like, towards the end of the movie, like you said before, a bigger threat might occur.
hmm
And they're gonna, join forces, or whatever the case is, put their differences aside, like something about the oceans, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And actually, handle the bigger issue. The thing is I do see that also happening, because let's be honest, look at where the state is going. Look at the protests that's happening. You're seeing more Latin people and Black people joining forces together. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep.
My remember, some of these races are even scared. What did they
Yeah.
say? What did they say? There's more radicals than chivos. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So their fear is being felt. Their fear is, being put out there constantly. And when it comes to us and our message, they're trying to make a dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not gonna stop
Yeah. I'm not saying they
themselves
did
from
this out of the
making
goodness
a
of their
dollar.
heart.
But check this out.
Hmm.
Look how in Black Panther 1, look how they had a Killmonger. They had him
Yeah.
as a hotep. Let's keep it
Yeah.
real. They
Pretty
had him
much.
as a black radical hotep, and he was out here, spewing all that hotepian stuff. And guess what? A lot of people resonated with that. You
Yeah.
think that was you think that was coincidence? No, the writers will probably listen to Tariq Nasheed,
Yep.
Jason
Look,
Black,
Jason
and,
Black,
and all
Professor
that
Black
other stuff,
True. Yep.
getting all this information in and putting it in a digestible way where certain people will understand, other people will understand where they're coming from, and all sides will, be happy, or whatever the case is. I believe that it could be a possibility that this might also happen. There might be certain things where they say all Latin people are part of Atlantis, or whatever the case is,
Hmm.
and then go on from there. You know what I mean?
Listen, man. All right, look. If my screenwriting um education comes into play here, never mind the siren people. I already flushed all the coke. Now, if my screenwriting, unless you guys can't hear the sirens outside, if my if my screenwriting education is any indication here, what's the name? Azatlan, right? The
Is
the
it?
name
I don't
for
know.
ancient, no, the name for ancient Mesoamerica, isn't it Azatlan?
I would. I'm not a truth teacher, bro. I'm not that educated.
I sent him a link to this closed panel, but I don't
Um,
I don't think he's awake, and he's probably meditating. Whatever the hell truth teacher does all day,
yeah.
doing that transcendental meditation. This nigga, I forgot what he put in the thing. Like he was doing some sort of stuff that's not commonly associated with Negroes. Truth teacher is fucking up. He's not living up to the stereotypes, man. This dude sitting out here doing all kinds of transcendental meditation. Kind of
Mm,
nigga shit is that? Negroes don't do that. But
mm,
yeah, but Azatlan, I think, is the name for ancient Mesoamerica. Now the thing is, Azatlan, they might make that Atlantis. They might make that Atlantis. And if my creative side is any indicator, they're gonna make all that armor look Aztec. Like even though maybe it'll be metal, it's similar to the Atlanteans in the DC universe, right? But whereas the Atlantean armor had a lot of Euro kind of motifs to it, I think the Atlantean slash Azatlan, I'm telling you, they got look. It's screenwriting 101. They gotta make those things work. Azatlan and Atlantis. one of them. Remember in the scene where like cities like El Dorado, they were looking in the wrong place. It was actually here in Africa, right?
Yeah,
They mixed those two concepts. Give me 1 second. They mixed the concepts together and melded words. They have to do that with Azatlan and Atlantis. And those people have to be brown people because the new initiative over at the House of Ideas, aka Marvel, that's what Stan Lee called it. The new initiative there is about inclusivity and diversity. They're not really messing with white boys that much anymore. That's why they're talking about killing off Doctor Strange. They're talking about making Doctor Strange go the way of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. Remember those two whole white guys died?
yeah,
They're doing this. Yeah, they're killing off most of these white male patriarchal figures, and they are. Denise is sharing something very interesting here, and they are replacing them with black and brown people.
yeah,
Uh, I'm at a loss for Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. And then remember, he left his original suit, his original Falcon suit, to the Hispanic dude, and the Hispanic dude was looking like, this looks delicious,
yeah,
right? So now the new Falcon's gonna be a Hispanic dude who is a tech genius. Remember, he was fixing things for the military, and Captain Sam Wilson will be Captain America. So it's black and brown all day with Eternals. Most of that cast are brown people. There are probably only two white people in there. That white boy who looks like, I don't know, Superman, and Angelina Jolie. Everyone else are black and brown.
yeah.
Everyone
Yeah,
else are black and brown.
now I wanna just say something to to the comments.
Ooh, that Aztec Batman looks sick.
That's hard. I'm not.
Ooh, it's
I ain't
Mayan.
gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. That's
Oh,
actually hard. That's
oh,
That's
actually.
something that I wanted to bring to the table. It's
yo.
the fact that I am so fed up with, you know, these concepts being new to, people that are not aware of where Disney and freaking Warner Brothers are getting their stuff and the DC
Mhm.
comics and all this stuff. If this does not look like Batman to you, I don't know what that is. That's
Wait, wait, wait,
Camazon,
wait.
a Mayan
What
god.
is? Wait, wait, whoa, whoa, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. So that's not a Batman reskin.
Nope, that's the god Kamazot.
What?
It's a Mayan
Really?
god. Yes, I'm not even making this
Wait,
up.
Yo,
wait,
stop fucking around.
wait. I'm sorry. The
Okay, new live, new live. I'm making a new live about this shit.
Hold on. Wait. Say that with. That's the god. What?
Kamazot.
From where?
The Mayans.
Are you
Oh
serious?
shit.
I'm 100% serious. 1,000%
Yo,
serious.
this
All
looks
right,
like a
that,
the
that's
Batman.
my next live. That's my next live,
This
nigga.
looks like the Batman cow.
No, I thought that was the Batman thing. I thought what they do because you know they do a lot of reskin. They
Mhm.
reskin the Batman suit for Batman's Batman Ninja. Remember that?
Yes,
And they
I
made
know.
him
They
like
made it
yeah. I thought
Japanese and
that's what
stuff
they were
like
doing
that.
here, but with Mayans.
Wait, go back
Oh
to
shit! All
go
right,
up to the article. Go up to the article. Go up to the
Look,
article.
um,
that's my new live. I'm doing a live about
The
this
image of
shit.
2019 after includes articles about the ancient Mayan god Kamazot, and according to other providers where the image was created, some readers were left with the impression that this sculpture thousands of years ago. Whoa!
Okay, all right.
Let me find out
New
Bruce Wayne
live,
was Mexican.
new live, nigga.
25 it's
New
Wait,
live,
ancient
2,500
Mayan,
years old.
ancient Mayan Batman.
Yeah, it's
new
2,500
live.
years old.
Wait. I can't see it,
No, no,
bro.
no.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
pressed the thing by accident. Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Go all the way down. Go all the way down. Let me see.
Okay.
The bat god named Kamasa can be found in the Mayan mythology, but this image does not depict the ancient sculptures made in the Mayans and Central America. It's actually a modern artwork created in 2014, but it existed as a Mexican museum design and explored the character of Batman through the lens of a
Okay,
Mexican.
so this is an interpretation of what the artist
The Mayan, the
interpreted.
Mayan
Yeah, all right, all right, all right, all right.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, the original is in pieces, so they have to create a recreation of what
yeah.
they
They have to
found,
recreate that shit.
and
See,
when they put the pieces together,
Yo,
it
that's what
resembles.
that's what
Yeah,
oh shit, oh
yo,
shit, oh shit. All right,
let me find out. Let me find out that Bob Kane and Bill Finger saw this and drew inspiration from it. Let me find out.
bruh. Look, all right, look here, man. These, oh man, I'm gonna get in so
look
much
at this.
trouble.
Look
They
at
don't
this.
invent shit. All right, they take from our shit. They take from our shit, and then they make it their shit.
It's associated with the night and the underworld. This god, this Mayan god.
I know Batman. I know.
Yeah, and
Yo, wait, it makes so much sense now. Batman is into cars, the Batmobile, right? You know what I mean? He has a butler, which is probably his mom. Like, his mom. Let's keep it real. His mom is probably always nagging him, just like Alfred. You feel me? He's always messing with
when you gonna get married?
dangerous women like Catwoman. You know what I mean? And all that. All these women wanna kill him. It makes sense now.
Me find
It
out
makes
Afro gonna come out with the chancla.
it makes
What I
sense
told you
now.
about talking to
He
that Catwoman.
he recruits younger kids into his gang. It makes sense.
They also had other bad creatures of this god that were created like this.
Look at that.
Yo,
Mhm.
it makes so much sense
Yeah,
now. It makes so much sense
Yo,
now.
look at that
Wow.
art. Look at that art.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I want to just give read a comment that King Two said.
Mhm.
No to black and brown unity respectfully. That's cool. We don't need
Yeah,
everybody to be down with
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's to, that's
Especially
to,
you,
that's
King
totally
too.
fine.
Yeah,
That's
especially
totally
you, King
fine.
too.
We don't need
Fuck you gonna build with him?
yeah.
Fuck you
We
gonna build
don't
with somebody like that?
Yeah,
I
they
want
love.
him as far away from this shit as possible. Yeah, King
Yeah,
too. See, you know, be
yo,
out, be
wait.
out,
Look
nigga.
at Daniel. He said, yo, if this new Batman a Maya character is 5'2", then he will fit historically.
The fuck.
Now, listen. This makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. Wow, this
Hmm.
makes
it's
so much
crazy.
sense.
It's
Listen,
literally crazy. Like when I came across this like a year and a half ago,
Remember,
I was
listen,
like, you gotta be
Latin
freaking
people are
kidding me.
superstitious. You know,
hmm
we're very superstitious. What does Batman fear and the unknown, using practicality for your advantage? Batman Latino, son. That's it. That's it.
Batman's Latino.
That's
El
it. That's
I
hombre
it.
think what we have to
murciélago.
look into next, we have to look into Joker next. We have to see what's going on with him because
What?
a
That's
lot of these
easy.
people.
That's easy.
And let's
That's
not
my uncle.
forget.
That's my cousin Joker
That's your.
fucker. That's my cousin
Let's not
Joker.
forget. Let's not forget. And I'm sorry if you guys hear drilling. You guys know I'm doing some renovations in
Yeah,
the house.
we get the sex swing. We get it.
So, but seriously, but seriously, while they deem the Mayan religion and culture as trash and
Hmm.
folklore and diabolic,
Yeah, they
and
said that
everybody needed to turn into
they didn't have a
Christianity.
written language and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, while they do that to our religions and our culture and our art and our gods, they're using them for profit.
Yes.
So it's like I said,
Listen,
I'm
no,
like,
you're 100% true. Listen, I what was the last Tomb Raider game that I played? Was I think Enter the Shadows or whatever the case is. Tell
Hmm.
me how Shorty goes into into Central America to find whatever, right? And she's running into all these Mayan and Aztec gods. And
Hmm.
Shorty knows literally everything about them to the point where I started playing the game, and every time I found an artifact or whatever, I would like research it.
Hmm.
Best believe
They're mining your
90
culture.
Best believe
Mining your culture.
90%. I'm gonna say this one more time. 90% of all I found from that game was factual.
Hmm.
90% of it, with the mythology, with the some of the cultural aspects, and some of the language that the in-game characters were even talking, was 90%. Obviously, they had to add some fuckery to it. You know what I mean? But at one part of the game, Laura runs into the ancient city of these ancient people that they lived in, and they still, and their ancestors are still, their descendants are still alive and still practice the cultural, roots of their ancestors. And guess what? She was accepted because she was the hero.
Hey man, you gotta have the white savior. Stop playing.
So I'm like, hey yo, like, get out of here. Let me find out they're trying to make Laura Puerto Rican now. Like,
Yeah,
but but it
you
was
know,
it was fuckery all throughout that, bro. It was fuckery, and I didn't like it.
listen, they strip mine your culture. They strip mine your culture, make the most of it, get all kinds of clout and fame from it, and then on the flip side, they dog you out for it. Like those people are savages, uncivilized. Look at them,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And
Listen,
meanwhile, they're using your shit.
listen. Let me
Exactly.
let
And
me let
it's
y'all
like, you know
go.
what I want to say?
Oh,
Let me
yeah,
let
yeah.
let,
I'm about to close
Where
this
let,
out too.
let me let
where's
y'all.
the
Let me.
Mexican outrage?
That's true. That's true.
That's what I want to know. Where is the Mexican outrage for this? Where is them asking for their copyrights infringement and the billions they are
You
owed?
know what? Check this out. You know what? It's so funny that something. Okay, so I used to be a very big avid comic book reader. Now I kind of go on
Nigga,
YouTube
you
and have.
read?
Uh, yeah. Well, I try. I sure do try, man. No. I used to be a big avid comic book reader. Now I go on YouTube and go to channels that read 5 or 10 issues in, right?
Mhm.
So I could get
Yeah,
caught up on it, right?
yeah.
One part was DC did this thing where Batman got killed, but due to Darkseid's laser, Omni Blast or whatever.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
reality, he didn't die. He was sent back in time.
Yeah.
So he was sent back in time and lost his memory also. But for some reason,
Mhm.
one thing he always remembered was that he would fight, for hopeless, people, and he would do it hailing a bat symbol. For some reason, he
Mhm.
will always find a way to hail a bat symbol. Now, this kind of reminds me of that issue because it's like, when Bruce Wayne went back in time or whatever, he always did that. So imagine, like, if they actually did a comic book of Bruce Wayne going back in time in the Mayan era and he coming up with a bat suit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it. But let's be honest. Um, like you said, bro, Tep, it's funny style that they take our culture and run with it.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And
and you know what pisses me off, Radical, is the fact that we still have a lot of culture for us to copyright register it and
yeah,
actually start selling it in our own narrative. We don't have to beg the
but Denise,
MCU to include us.
you could correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
we could technically say that the Batman cowl like this
Hmm.
is a part of ancient history that is exclusive for Latin people, and we could kind of like, you know, do it
What
that way, right?
no,
Or
but
no?
what
That'll never happen.
Mexicans
They're too
can
busy
do,
policing
let
Denise's
me tell
body.
you. Let me tell you something. What they can do, and by all means, it's a disclaimer. I'm no one's lawyer, so But what they can do, based on what I know, is actually sue.
Yeah.
The Mexican government, which will be the owner, the rightful owner, or the descendants, the direct descendants of the Mayans,
Yeah.
can actually do a class action against the
Yes.
Warner
Against DC
Brothers, the
Comics and Warner
DC
Brothers. Yep.
Comics, and do solicit petition in the federal court an injunction. What
Now,
that means is that if Warner Brothers and DC Comics does not reach a settlement with the rightful owner of the copyrights for Batman and all the earnings, an injunction basically is that any further earnings that Batman creates in the whole universe goes to the owner of that.
or the Mexican people.
Exactly. So it's like I said,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that I wish Mexicans will,
Now let me just
reclaim.
say one thing about Batman that I know. Batman was so called created in the Bronx. If nobody knew that. It was Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Those are the two creators. For some reason, Bob Kane did something very sneaky to Bill Finger, and business wise, Bill Finger basically got nothing in return. But that's neither here nor there, right? Bill Finger is the main reason why Batman had the backstory that he did and certain villains and stuff. Bob Kane just came up with all the ideas of Batman in the beginning. Bill Finger came and refined it for what we know. Now, let me just say, for the times that I've studied white supremacy and all this other stuff, I know for a fact that they know our history way more than we do. And I guarantee it that this image was probably in a museum or library somewhere in the Bronx or in New York City,
Yep.
where this image was either circulated or found their way to Bob Kane and Bill Finger that inspired the cowl of Batman. I guarantee it because, let's be honest, like Brotep said, and I'll repeat the same thing. White folks, for the most part, they don't have a culture that actually is their own outside of Europe. They like to take other things. And then years later, we find out that it was never their invention. It was someone else's. For example, was it, I think, was it the Jameson beer or Captain Morgan beer or whatever the case is? End up finding out years later it was actually a black man, a black slave that came up with the recipe.
Yeah. Jack Daniel. Jack
Okay,
Daniels. Yep.
Jack Daniels. It came up with the recipe, and their descendants never received no compensation for it. But for some
Hmm.
reason, they make that a talking point in their brewery representation. So when you go into their brewery, they'll give you this little story about, oh yeah, black slave actually invented it, ha ha ha. Anyway, and then just
Yeah.
keep
Moving
it going.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what we know, and this is something that's been proven historically, time and time again. Now, this right here solidifies my stance even more that people from the dominant society like to take a lot of our things, repackage it, and sell it back to us.
Yep.
And the fact that we also are not doing anything to reclaim it, because it's like I'm saying, where is the Mexican outrage? Because I can guarantee you, if I put two and two together and I find out as a Puerto Rican that they're doing this, or let's say for example tomorrow they're saying that, I don't know, enchantress or whatever, it's based on a Taina, trust me, the outrage will be there.
Yo, it makes so much sense. Robin, what are Robin's colors? Yellow, red, and green. The Mexican flag. Yo, it makes so much
Cause dude,
sense.
yo,
Yo, it
listen,
makes so much sense. Yo,
these guys were studying. Now the thing is, we have to remember, like something like Skywalker Ranch. We're only fucking with Google right now, and now the general public has access to all this stuff, all these images. But back then, these people had all the libraries and had all the stuff that our cultures had created. We didn't have it, they had it, and so they were tapping into all that shit. Jack Kirby, if you look at all his creations, those are tribal people. All those motifs are tribal things. All those markings and all those things on the people's those saucers on their chests, and the things around their legs and all that stuff. It's all tribal designs. Okay, and Bill Finger and Bob Kane, those people, like you just said here, they were tapping into ancient motifs for that. These people, they don't create new things. They tap into your shit and sell it back to you. They tap into your shit and sell it back to you.
Yo, yo, let me find out. Let me find out the person who donned this. The Mayan person's name was like Jorge Wayne or something like that. Let me find out, yo. Let me find
Jorge
out.
Wayne. You know
Listen,
what I'm saying?
No,
listen,
it
all
wasn't
my
Wayne. Look, Wayne is the English version of Way. You
oh,
Way.
write it
all right,
down.
yeah.
Jorge
Yeah.
Way.
Jorge
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 Wayne,
Way.
Way.
Jorge Wayne.
Jorge Way.
Yo, now I'm gonna get all my action figures and paint the mouth brown.
I mean, Gotham
Shit.
Ciudad. Jorge Way. But
Yo,
yeah,
hey, now it make listen. Gotham City. Then it's like the Latin neighborhood. Wild, wild, dangerous. You know what I'm
you know what I'm
saying?
saying? Yep.
Yo, it makes so much sense. Let me
All right,
stop.
all
Let
right.
me stop. Let me
But
stop.
yeah, like, comment,
Um,
subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. If you're on
yeah.
any social media platform, I need you to go and share a link to this
Pro tip: you
channel.
should
Share.
download this, cut this
Mhm.
part from when it started with the whole Batman thing, and make 2 videos.
Yeah, actually, I'm about to make a whole new stream for that.
All right,
This
all
this
right,
deserves a stream on its own.
all right.
But yeah,
Hit me
but
up. Hit me up for it.
yeah, when I'm ready, I'm gonna hit you and Denise up.
All right, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
all right. Peace.
Close panel as usual. All right. But
Okay.
yeah. So I'm glad you stopped by, Denise. I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah, I when I heard the Kamala situation, and then you were talking about Killmonger and stuff like that, I was like, I have to jump in because I have
Hmm.
something to add that
Good,
I
good.
discovered like a year and a half ago, and it was this, and I wanted to put it out there because it's like I said, a lot of Mayan history is being used by this white folks without giving Mexicans any credit.
Proper credit. Yep.
In the meantime, they tell Mexicans, stay home, don't come here, you'll be deported. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
let's deport the fucking billions that
Yeah,
Mexicans
that
don't
you made
own.
off of
How
our
about that?
culture.
Exactly. How about you just stop sucking at the titty of their culture and the shit they work for and
Hmm.
give them their money? They won't come because they won't fucking need it. They're coming here to get their money.
Yeah,
The shit that you stole from them.
it's partially due to all their copyright laws that they've created that favors them. Yeah, we have to remember they've been robbing from black and brown people for a long time. This is not new shit. They've been doing this for a long time, and they created what's called intellectual property. For my studies, I have not run into it before. White people,
Yeah.
like cultures who are into like intellect, like ideas don't belong to you. Notice you don't come up with ideas. Ideas come to you. Like an idea came to me this morning. That's the proper term for it. You didn't come up with the idea. They belong to the universe. So you copywriting the idea so no one else can. That's these people shit. That's what they've been doing. And
Yeah.
so when they write these laws and they're the ones who are familiar with the laws because they wrote it, then they get to do these sorts of things where they go into Mayan culture, Aztec culture, and take all these. I mean, I don't even want to guess the things that they stole for Superman. They gave the Hebrew Bible credit
Mhm.
for Superman, saying, "Well, it's one part Moses and one part Jesus." And
I highly doubt it.
I think they tapped into sun god culture for this one, like
Yeah, I
Aztecs and
highly doubt
Mayans.
it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
let's not forget, I love my Tainos and the Caribs and Arawakan, but Mayans and Aztecs were extremely intelligent beings
Hmm.
that were connected with the universe and everything that surrounded them, and they created technology. It was like the Egyptians. Egyptians
Hmm.
were very connected with the environment and the universe, and they created stuff that we cannot even grasp in our finite minds today.
Yep.
You have pyramids that submerge into down into the earth, and then they come back up after 100 years, 200 years. Look at the Tutankhamun pyramid that we know it only has a few years left. That's what they did the exhibition and took all of the shit out of there,
Hmm.
desecrating his memory, because he died at 18 years old. He was one of the youngest and wealthiest compared to agreeing to his age
No, well,
pharaohs.
that's one of the things I'd like to ask white people who are doing this shit. Not every white person. Disclaimer, disclaimer. Not every white person, but those of you who are going across this planet digging up bodies and shit. So you have a loved one, right? I'm sure you have a loved one passed away, like maybe grandma, or even mom. God forbid. You know, how would you like if, a few decades from now or whatever, somebody goes and digs her up and start, poking around with her teeth, pulling her teeth out and carbon dating her bones and shit.
No,
And
and
they'll just call it excavation. How would you like that?
yeah, and also charging to, oh, come see,
And
this
charging to come
person's
see
grandma,
this old white woman. How would you like
right?
that? How would you
Yeah,
like it?
it's disgusting. It's like I said, and if you look at the Egyptians, I always compare Mayans and Aztecs to Egyptians because they had the same level of intelligence, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, they both came up with the technology of submerging themselves, their structures,
Hmm. Into the
and
ground.
also into the ground, but still being able to be preserved. And I'm like, how these fuckers understood,
Hmm.
different layers of planet Earth, and how to not submerge it all the way into the core of the planet Earth. And they understood gravity to levels that we don't understand it today.
Hmm.
And when you look at these things, it brings questions to you. They did it to survive earthquakes and stuff like that, because if you think about it, these structures do not suffer that much of damage when it comes to earthquakes and
Mm.
disasters, because they submerge themselves after a certain amount of time, and then they come back up. Look at what's happening to the cathedral in Mexico City. I wish I had my parents' album, because when they went in '94 to Mexico, you could not enter the cathedral because the Spanish conquistadors did a nasty joke on Mayan and Aztecs, and they built all the cathedrals on top of their temples.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cute.
yeah,
That's cute.
because they did it on purpose. It was it
Yeah,
was pure pettiness.
yeah. It's cultural warfare.
What
They
they
have to
never
erase. Yeah.
what they never thought, and I'm pretty sure Mayans and Aztecs were laughing at them, is that these temples will rise up again. So the temple in Ciudad de
Mm.
Mexico started coming back up in the 90s and started ripping the cathedral apart.
Mm. That's poetic justice.
Yeah, it's
That's
called,
what happens when you start fucking with things you don't understand,
yeah, yeah,
white
definitely.
boy. That's what happens.
And that's what power for you.
Yeah, white power. Fucking
Yeah.
around with things that, like, man, that's crazy. Using the swastika. You don't know what the Indians intended for that stuff to be used for. Why are you
That's a
fucking with
karmic
it?
zone. That's a karmic zone. And
Yeah, but
they're
no, but
stupid about it. They're stupid about it because the swastika, what it means is that whatever you put out, you will receive. That's why it has.
mhm,
If you look at it, it has like the indentations go in a specific way, and it's like a circle.
hmm,
The one thing gives to the other, and until your life becomes full circle. So if you put out hatred, racism, stupidity, it will come back at you.
yeah,
So I'm like,
they're,
we need
they're
to
wearing the
learn.
symbol. They're wearing the symbol. That's
They're
a
fucking
warning to the
morons.
very shit they're doing.
Yeah, they're
That's pretty
fucking
funny.
morons.
That's
They do
pretty
not
funny.
understand the language.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, all right. Um, for those of you who are just tuning in, we covered a lot of things in a very short period of time, but we're about to shut this off, and then we'll have other live streams either late this morning or as the day continues tomorrow, for some of you tomorrow. All right. So ending in 5, 4, 3, 2. Have a good one, everyone, wherever you happen to be. You can watch some more videos from this channel right now.